A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. We were on Juz 18, Surah An-Nur, and we will begin from ayat number 33. But let them who find not the means for marriage abstain from sexual intercourse until Allah enriches them from His. So meaning that those who are unable to get married, then what should they do? They should wait till Allah enriches them from His bounty, and during this time what is prescribed for them, what is best for them is that according to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam they should fast. Secondly, they should lower their gaze. Thirdly is that they should keep good company. And here we see that Allah says, and those who seek a contract for eventual emancipation from among whom your right hand possess, then make a contract with them if you know there is within them goodness, and give them from the wealth of Allah which He has given you, and do not compel your slave girls to prostitution, because then this is haram, if they desire chastity to seek thereby the temporary interests of worldly life. And if someone should compel them, then indeed Allah is to them after their compulsion forgiving and merciful, meaning for those girls who are forced into prostitution and then their master takes in such an income, this is haram, and of course the girls who were forced upon will be forgiven, but those who are making them do such a thing will then be liable to punishment. And we have certainly sent down to you distinct verses and examples from those who passed on before you, and an admonition for those who fear Allah. Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. Allahu nuru samawati wal ard, and here nur refers to Allah's guidance. The example of His light is like a niche within which is a lamp. The lamp is within glass. The glass as if it were a pearly white star lit from the oil of a blessed olive tree. Allahu nuru samawati wal ard, masalu nurihi kamishkatin fiha al-misbahu fi zujaja. الزجاجة كأنها كوكب دري يوقد من شجرة مباركة زيتونة لا شرقية ولا غربية يكاد زينتها يضيء ولو لم تمسسه النار نور على نور يهدي الله لنوره من يشاء ويضرب الله الأمثال للناس والله بكل شيء عليم. This ayat is referring to the guidance of Allah, and how this guidance of Allah, when it enriches a heart which is blessed by a similar surroundings and an environment which is of Iman, and this heart that is now blessed with such a knowledge of Iman which is enriching his Iman and knowledge, is not biased by any of the distractions around. And we see that this person who is blessed with this guidance then enlightens his surroundings. Why? Because then he walks on a path which has been guided by Allah Himself, and this enriches the others, this enlightens the others. And in such a company where there is such an environment, this is just like a pure glass, because when you see, if there is a fire lit or a candle lit within a glass, you will see that illuminates even more. It gives out even more light. Why? Because of the glass, and the glass is such a crystal clear glass that it helps to enrich the light. Similarly, the guidance, when it affects the heart in such a way that this Iman which is already in the heart, once it gets the knowledge of Iman, once it gets the knowledge of Allah, once it gets the knowledge of guidance, this then enriches in such a way that then there is nurun ala nur, then there is light upon light. So Allah here says that Allah is the light, meaning Allah is the guidance of the heavens and the earth. The example of His light is like a niche within which is a lamp. And what is this lamp referring to? This lamp is referring to the heart. The lamp is within a glass, and what is this glass referring to? This is the environment around. As if it were a pearly white star lit from the oil of a blessed olive tree, neither of the east nor of the west, meaning it is free from all biases, whose oil would almost glow. Oil referring to the knowledge that brings up even better Iman, then glows even if untouched by fire. Light upon light, Allah guides to His light whom He wills. Now this is something which is an honor. and Allah will guide to His guidance only those He wills, and then they further give light from light. And Allah presents examples for the people, and Allah is knowing of all things. Such niches are in houses, that is masajids, and what happens is, which Allah has ordered to be raised and that His name be mentioned therein, exalting Him within them in the morning and the evening. Now of course, in such a place, when someone has been blessed with iman and knowledge and guidance, this person is definitely going to be attracted to such places, where even if it is a masjid, or it is such a company, or such people, whether it is a gathering of scholars or the learned people, where he wants to see himself. And when you are in such an environment where everybody is on the same page with you, on the same level with you, then you see this is like a light upon light, and this is how the guidance is then spread out to other people also. So Allah says, are men whom neither commerce nor sale distracts from the remembrance of Allah and performance of prayer and giving of zakat. That means they are so focused that despite doing the worldly things, they never get distracted from the remembrance of Allah. They fear a day in which the hearts and eyes will fearfully turn about, that Allah may reward them according to the best of what they did and increase them from His bounty. And Allah gives provision to whom He wills without account. That is Allah, that is the limit. Allah will give according to His will. But those who disbelieved, their deeds are like a mirage in a low land, which a thirsty one thinks is water until. Now those who disbelieved, their deeds are like a mirage. What is a mirage? Just like an oasis, he thinks that there is water, but then there is no water. He thinks that he is going to get something, but he is not going to get anything. In a low land, which a thirsty one thinks is water, until when he comes to it, he finds it is nothing, but finds Allah before him, and He will pay him in full his due, and Allah is swift in account. So disbelievers are just like wasting their efforts, because when they will reach there, they are not going to find any benefit. Or they are like darknesses within an unfathomable sea, which is covered by waves, upon which are waves, over which are clouds, darknesses, some of them upon others. When one puts out his hand therein, he can hardly see it, meaning it is so dark that he can hardly see his own hand under the darkness of the sea. And he to whom Allah has not granted light, for him there is no light, meaning this darkness is referring to no knowledge, no iman, therefore no guidance. So this is just like, even if he tries to take out his hand to see that he has done something, he will find nothing. Do you not see that Allah is exalted by whomever is within the heavens and the earth, and by the birds with wings spread in flight? Each of them has known his means of prayer and exalting Him, and Allah is knowing of what they do. Meaning whatever has been created with a purpose, and they all know the purpose of their creation is to worship Allah, and this is what every other creature is doing. And to Allah belongs the dominions of the heavens and the earth, and to Allah is the destination. Do you not see that Allah drives clouds? Then He brings them together, then He makes them into a mass, and you see the rain emerge from within it. You see the benefits of these clouds, that in return gives you the rain. And He sends down from the sky mountains of clouds, within which is hail. And hailstorms are barely just to strike people. Rain is more beneficial than hail. And He strikes with it whom He wills, and averts it from whom He wills. Meaning, some people are going to benefit, just like rain benefits some land, but some lands are so barren that even the rain cannot do much, because the soil is so hard, it's so rocky, nothing grows there, even despite that it takes the rain, but it just absorbs it, but doesn't produce. Similarly, the people who receive the guidance, everybody has the guidance before them. Some people are going to benefit, and then they are going to benefit others from it, but some people are not even going to take it for their own interest. They will not benefit, and in fact, if they are not going to benefit for themselves, how are they going to reproduce it? The flash of its lightning almost takes away the eyesight. It is so scary. Allah alternates the night and the day. Indeed, in that is a lesson for those who have vision. What is the lesson in the day and night? That they are following a similar pattern. None of them excels the other. They both remain within their limits. And darkness and light are two opposites. And if one can change into the other, that means Allah can change any situation whenever and wherever. Kun fayakun, it's as simple as that. Allah has created every living creature from water, and science has proved that everything has been created from water. And of them are those that move on their bellies. Now amongst the animals, Allah is going to relate that there are some, like you see the seals. See how the seals, they just move on their belly. Even for that matter, if you see the crocodile, although he has legs, but he can even crawl on his belly. And of them are those who walk on two legs. Most of the birds that you see, all the birds, they are of two legs. And of them are those that walk on four legs, which is the other animals. Allah creates what He wills. Indeed, Allah is over all things competent. Now this is the wisdom. This is the wisdom of Allah, that Allah has created all different types of animals. And every animal or insect that has been created, or any sea animal that has been created with a purpose. They are all living and serving for one another, and even for the humans. So here we have to understand the wisdom behind all this creation. We have certainly sent down distinct verses, and Allah guides whom He wills to a straight path. And then Allah says, وَيَقُولُونَ آمَنَّا بِاللَّهِ وَبِالرَّسُولِ وَأَطَعْنَا ثُمَّ يَتَوَلَّى فَرِيقٌ مِّنْهُم مِّن بَعْدِ ذَلِكَ وَمَا أُولَٰئِكَ بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ. But they, that is the hypocrites, say, we have believed in Allah and the Messenger, and we obey. Then a party of them turns away after that, and those are not believers, because they say, but they are not believing it by their heart, they are just saying it by their tongues. And when they are called to the words of Allah and His Messenger to judge between them, at once a party of them turns aside in refusal. Then they want to follow their own decision, then they don't want to take the decisions given by Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And this is of course a lesson for us also, that whenever we are in a problem, whenever we have to find a solution to any issue, and if we revert to the Quran and Sunnah, and what if it goes against our desire, then do we still abide by it? Because in the case of zakat also, a lot of people, they have so many questions that, you know, there is not zakat for this and there is not zakat for that, and why should I need to be convinced, and things like that. So for a lot of things people have questions in their minds, but when there is an answer coming from Quran and Sunnah, then one should ask oneself, should that not be enough for me to then abide by it, or do I still have to come up with justifications? And meaning that I am not going to follow unless and until I am convinced. So it says that, but if the right is theirs, they come to Him in prompt obedience. Meaning, if it is going to fulfill their desire, then they come running to the Prophet. But when something is going against their desire, then they have issues. Is there disease in their hearts? What is the problem? Why are they so biased that they only want things of their own benefit? Or have they doubted? Or do they fear that Allah will be unjust to them or His Messenger? Rather, it is they who are the wrongdoers. They are the unjust, that you are picking and choosing. And so is most of the people, you see, that we are also picking and choosing Islam at our desire. Where we think it is easy to follow, we follow. Where we think it is difficult to follow, then we try to refrain from it. The only statement of the true believers when they are called to Allah and His Messenger to judge between is that, what do they say? They say, أَن يَقُولُوا سَمِعْنَا وَأَطَعْنَا وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. They say, we hear and we obey. And Allah says, these are those who will be successful. We listen and we obey. When you've heard a commandment, whether my brain accepts it or not, my intellect accepts it or not, my heart is for it or not, but if that is the judgment, then we have to abide by it. For example, the relations of kinship. For whoever is going to cut these relations, Nabi Sallallahu says that he is not going to enter Jannah. Similarly, we have very severe warnings for those who take bribes, for interest, for zina, so and other capital punishments. Now these are judgments given by Allah and His Rasul. So believers are going to say Samayna wa Atana. They are not going to stand and argue about it. They are not going to stand and then try to defend themselves against it, and then bring up clauses and excuses and reasons to justify opposing it. But Allah says that these are the people who are actually going to be successful. So again, we need to define success. What is success? And if we have understood the meaning of success, that's when we will be able to understand the ayats and the sayings of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. وَمَن يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ وَيَخْشَى اللَّهَ وَيَتَّقْهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَائِزُونَ. And whoever obeys Allah and His Messenger and fears Allah and is conscious of Him, it is those who are the attainers. So that means following Allah and similarly following Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam means the same. Means the same. Why? Because Allah is telling us to follow the Rasul. وَمَن يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ. So how are we going to follow the Rasul? Unless and until we don't refer to the authentic ahadith, the authentic sources of the ahadith, we will not be able to understand what Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam has been teaching us. If 75% were his amal, and out of the 25%, 23 was his words and speech, and 2% was his approval, silent approval. So amal, how are you going to see what was the amal unless and until you don't refer to the ahadith? How do we know what were his amal? And similarly, those approvals that he is given by speech, where are we going to get them from? And Allah here says, وَمَن يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ. So how do we follow that? So this means that to be successful, we have to relate to the Quran and we have to relate to Sunnah. And they swear by Allah their strongest oaths that if you ordered them, they would go forth, that is in Allah's cause. Say, do not swear. Such obedience is known. You know that you are not going to go. Indeed, Allah is fully aware of that which you do. Say, obey Allah and obey the Messenger. قُلْ أَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُوا الرَّسُولَ فَإِن تَوَلَّوْا فَإِنَّمَا عَلَيْهِ مَا حُمِّلَ وَعَلَيْكُمْ مَا حُمِّلْتُمْ وَإِن تُطِيعُوهُ وَتَهْتَدُوا وَمَا عَلَى الرَّسُولِ إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ الْمُبِينُ. Allah says, obey Allah and obey the Messenger. But if you turn away, then upon him is only that duty with which he has been charged, and upon you is that with which you have been charged. He has been chosen to give the message. We are there to listen to the message and then obey the message. And if you obey him, you will be rightly guided. And there is not upon the messenger except the responsibility for clear notification. That means Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is only to give us the words of Allah, pass them on, pass the Quran as it is. And through his teachings, he has conveyed the message. Now it is upon us whether we follow it or not, and the consequences will be likewise. Allah has promised those who have believed among you and done righteous deeds that He will surely grant them succession upon the earth, just as He granted it to those before them, and that He will surely establish for them their religion which He has preferred for them, and that He will surely substitute for them after their fear, security, they worship. And this is whoever follows Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Allah says, after their fear, security for their worship me, not associating anything with me. But whoever disbelieves after that, then those are the defiantly disobedience. So that means one needs to understand one point over here, that we as Muslims and Muslim as a ummah needs to focus on its own behavior. We don't need to stand out and blame others for our behavior. At times it's because of our own deeds that we are losing, that we are going into corruption, or we are degrading ourselves by our own acts. But on the other hand, we start blaming others for our own weaknesses. So the point is that we need to correct our own ways, make ourselves strong enough that we can face things the way they should, rather than putting the blame on others. And establish prayer and give zakah and obey the messenger that you may receive mercy. Now you see, this is the third time we are reading that Allah Ta'ala says you need to follow the Rasul. وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَآتَوُا الزَّكَاةَ وَأَطِيعُوا الرَّسُولَ لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. That means this is a means of receiving mercy for those who follow the Rasul. Never think that the disbelievers are causing failure upon the earth. Their refuge will be the fire, and how wretched the destination. O you who have believed, let those whom your right hands possess and those who have not yet reached puberty among you ask permission of you entering at your house 3 times. Now because Surah Nur is coming to an end, and we will see that Allah Ta'ala again is going to bring down the rules of the house, that when you have children in the house, before they reach puberty, they must ask you permission at 3 different times. Before the dawn prayer, and when you put your clothes aside at noon, that is when you are resting after lunchtime, and after the night prayer, that is after Isha. So before Fajr, after Isha, and during the day. when one is taking a nap. These are 3 times when children before puberty must come and take permission from their parents, because these are times, Allah says, of privacy for you. There is no blame upon you nor upon them beyond these periods. Otherwise they can come and go from your rooms, for they continually circulate among you, some of you among others. Thus does Allah make clear to you the verses, and Allah is knowing and wise. So these are the little manners that Allah has taught us, so we should teach our children also. And when the children among you reach puberty, let them ask permission at all times, as those before them have done. So that means this is a norm of Islam, that after puberty, whenever parents are alone in the room, then children must knock at the door and come. Thus does Allah make clear to you His verses, and Allah is knowing and wise. And women of post-menstrual age, those who have reached menopause, who have no desire for marriage, there is no blame upon them for putting aside their outer garments but not displaying adornment. Now, meaning that even if a woman has reached an age, like for example 45 and 50 and above, when she has reached her menopause and there is no desire for marriage that way, but beauty, if there is still, or adornments, which are other things related to makeup and jewelry, must be avoided. But otherwise she does not necessarily need to wear the jilbab. But to modestly refrain from that is better for them, and Allah is hearing and knowing. There is not upon the blind any constraint, nor upon the lame constraint, nor upon the ill constraint, nor upon yourselves. Now again, this is a general rule coming for the society, that when you have people who are mentally or physically handicapped, or if you have people who are ill or sick, and even for yourselves, there is a general criteria that as far as having food is a right for everybody to have. So these people can always knock at the doors and ask for food, and you should not be ashamed of sharing your food with them. Even if they sit with you on the table, even if they sit with you on the floor to sit and have food, then you should not be ashamed of it. So this is their right, and which as a community they should be honored for that. So Allah says that there is no constraint upon yourselves when you eat from your own houses, from your own. And now Allah Ta'ala is going to mention about 13 places where food can be had from. Now here the first thing Allah says, houses, or the houses of your fathers, your own houses, or the houses of your fathers, or the houses of your mothers, or the houses of your brothers, or the houses of your sisters, or the houses of your father's brothers, that is uncles, or the houses of your father's sisters, that are aunts, or the houses of your mother's brother, that is again uncle, paternal uncle, or the houses of your mother's sisters, that is maternal aunts, or from houses whose keys you possess, or from the house of your friend. That means you may be having friends and somebody has entrusted you with the keys, or they may be your neighbors. There is no blame upon you whether you eat together or separately. This is also referring to joint families where everybody can sit and have food together, or they can have food separately. But when you enter houses, give greetings of peace upon each other, a greeting from Allah, blessed and good. That means whenever we enter, we should say Assalamu alaikum. Thus does Allah make clear to you the verses of ordinance that you may understand. Now these are all rules of having a peaceful society. So the handicapped should also be respected. People who are ill, people who are old in age, similarly ourselves, when we are in a community, then we are all able to help one another in these conditions. And of course, when we enter, then we must enter with a greeting. Now you say Islam is, like giving us manners, how to greet, how to depart. And the best way, the Islamic way, when you depart from one another, is to say Assalamu alaikum also. Normally we say Allah Hafiz, Khuda Hafiz, but the best way, the right way of Islamic teaching is that when you are departing from one another, even then you should say Assalamu alaikum. The believers are only those who believe in Allah and His Messenger, and when they are meeting with Him for a matter of common interest, do not depart until they have asked His permission. Indeed, those who ask your permission, O Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, those are the ones who believe in Allah and His Messenger. So when they ask your permission due to something of their affairs, then give permission to whom you will among them, and ask for forgiveness for them from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Indeed, Allah is forgiving and merciful. So this was again a manner which was taught to the Sahaba, that when they were to depart, they should take permission, and then Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam should grant them permission and also ask for their forgiveness for if they are going to miss out on anything. Do not make your calling of the messenger among yourselves as the call of one of you or another. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was a messenger, and he was such that he had a special respect that was demanded from the Sahabas. the Arab Bedouins, when they used to come, and Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to be in his Hujra Mubarak, they used to come outside and say, "O Muhammad ukhruj," meaning, "O Muhammad, come out." And they used to call him by his first name. So here Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, in his respect, Allah Ta'ala corrects the Sahabas and even for the Bedouins that when you come, you must not call him like you are calling one another. Already Allah knows those of you who slip away concealed by others. So let those beware who dissent from his order, lest fitna strike them or a painful punishment. Meaning being disrespectful to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam can invite fitna. Fitna meaning you can be trapped into punishment or face trials. Unquestionably to Allah belongs whatever is in the heavens and earth. Already He knows that upon which you and the day when they will be returned to Him, and He will inform them of what they have done, and Allah is knowing of all things. Now this we see, with this we have come to an end of Surah An-Nur, and now inshallah we are going to start Surah Al-Furqan. Furqan means to distinguish between good and bad. So we are going to see that in this surah how Allah Ta'ala explains us, how Allah Ta'ala guides us as to the distinguish between good and false. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Tabarakalladzi nazzala al-furqana ala abdihi liyakuna lil alamina nazira. And of course the basic criteria of Furqan, and Furqan is the other name for Quran also, and we see that Quran is also a book which distinguishes for us between good and false. Blessed is he who sent down the criterion upon his servant, that he may be to the worlds a warner. And this is the message Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has brought to us, in which there is glad tiding and in which there is a warning through the Quran. Allazi lahu mulku samawati wal ardi wa lam yattakhiz walada wa lam yakul lahu sharikun fil mulki wa khalaqa kulla shay'in faqaddarahu taqdira. He to whom belongs the dominion of the heavens and the earth, and who has not taken a son and has not had a partner in dominion, and has created each thing and determined it with precise determination. As far as the second ayat of Surah Al-Furqan is concerned, this is one of the ayats which can be taught to the children also when they start speaking. When they learn how to talk, then the first thing we should try to make them, they're able to memorize or talk or speak, then we should try to repeat these ayat. This is the second ayat of Surah Al-Furqan. وَاتَّخَذُوا مِن دُونِهِ آلِهَةً لَا يَخْلُقُونَ شَيْئًا وَهُمْ يُخْلَقُونَ وَلَا يَمْلِكُونَ لِأَنفُسِهِمْ ضَرًّا وَلَا نَفْعًا وَلَا يَمْلِكُونَ مَوْتًا وَلَا حَيَاةً وَلَا نُشُورًا. But they have taken besides him gods which create nothing while they are created, and possess not for themselves any harm or benefit, and possess not power to cause death or life or resurrection. This is only the powers of Allah. And those who disbelieve say this Quran is not except a falsehood he invented, and another people assisted him in it, because they used to say there was probably a Roman slave who comes at night, who recites these verses to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and then in the morning Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam then reproduces them. But they have committed an injustice and a lie. And they say legends of the former people which he has written down, and they are dictated to him morning and afternoon. Say, O Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, it has been revealed by he who knows secret within the heavens and the earth. Indeed, he is ever forgiving and merciful. And they say, what is this messenger that eats food and walks in the markets? Why is he just like us? Why was there not sent down to him an angel, so he would be with him a warner? Or why is not a treasure presented to him from heaven, or does he not have a garden from which he eats? And the wrongdoers say, you follow not but a man affected by magic. Look how they strike for you comparisons, but they have strayed, so they cannot find a way. Blessed is he who, if he will, could have made for you something better than that. For Allah, it was not impossible that he could not grant all these things to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, gardens beneath which rivers flow, and could make for you palaces. But they have denied the hour, and we have prepared for those who deny the hour a blaze. So Allah has given a reason. Why are they saying all this? Is because they don't believe in Akhirah. When it sees them from a distant place, they will hear its fury and roaring of the hellfire. And when they are thrown into a narrow place, therein bound in chains, then will cry out thereupon for destruction. They will be told, do not cry this day for one destruction, but cry for much destruction. Say, is this better or the garden of eternity which is promised to the righteous? It will be for them a reward and destination. For them therein is whatever they wish, while abiding eternally. It is ever upon your Lord a promise requested. That means this is the response that one can always make a dua for. And what is this? That whatever they are going to wish for, they are going to be granted. And of course, this is a promise upon Allah to bless the righteous with it. So one should always make a dua that, oh Allah, fulfill your promise with me. And mention the day He will gather them and that which they worship besides Allah, and will say, did you mislead these, my servants, or did they themselves stray from the way? Now, whether people are worshipping angels or saints or scholars or people or stones or wood or anything that they are worshipping, people who are worshipping the sun or the moon, Allah is going to ask all of them, did you tell them to go astray, or was it their own choice to go astray? What are they going to say? They will say, exalted are you, it was not for us to take besides you any allies, meaning protectors, but you provided comforts for them and their fathers until they forgot the message and became a people ruined. So the comforts of life destroyed them. This is why they went into shirk. So the people who these people were worshipping are simply going to reply that it was not because of us, it was because of the comforts they had and the comforts that their fathers had that made them go into shirk. Now, if basically having wealth or having luxuries of life, there is nothing wrong with it, for as long as man is still obedient to God. But if he is not obedient to Allah and still he has blessings, then this is a sign of worry. So they will deny you. In what you say, and you cannot avert or help. And whoever commits injustice among you, we will make him taste a great punishment. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا قَبْلَكَ مِنَ الْمُرْسَلِينَ إِلَّا إِنَّهُمْ لَيَأْكُلُونَ الطَّعَامَ وَيَمْشُونَ فِي الْأَسْوَاقِ وَجَعَلْنَا بَعْضَكُمْ لِبَعْضٍ فِتْنَةً أَتَصْبِرُونَ وَكَانَ رَبُّكَ بَصِيرًا. And we did not send before you, Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, any of the messengers except that they ate food and walked in the markets. That means this was a normal practice, normal living, normal style of all messengers, just like normal human beings. And we have made some of you as trials for other. Will you have patience? And ever is your Lord seeing. Meaning that everybody is tested in a different way. Some are blessed, some may have different types of lifestyles and blessings, whether it is related to knowledge or whether it is related to wealth or children or anything. What we are tested upon is that what we have been blessed with, irrespective of what others have. So are we still going to be patient about it and wait for the right judgment to pass by? Or are we going to keep comparing ourselves and then end up ruining the trials that we were in? So this is one thing that we need to understand, that Allah Ta'ala has tried to make everyone relate their times to others, in the sense that if we are tested by little things or big things, this trial means to me, this trial may not come on the other person, but what the other person has been tested with may not be my trial. So there is no comparison, except that everybody has to be patient in their own respected areas. And may Allah give us the tawfiq to fulfill the commandments that we have read today, and may Allah give us the tawfiq to abide by the laws of Shariat and what Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam teaches us in his sunnah, and by the best guidance given to us by Allah's book. Wa akhiru dawana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Inshallah, next time when we meet, we are going to do Juz 19.